My dear friends, happy morning to all. I am Dr. N. Srinivasan from the Department of Physics, Congo Engineering College, Perundurai, Erode. How are you? How is going? Okay. Today we are going to discuss about UV spectroscopy. I hope those who are working in materials characterization, you may be aware about the usage of UV spectrum, because UV spectrum which provides information about absorptions of a molecule, absorptions of UV light of a molecule. So UV spectrum basically a plot between absorbance versus wavelength. So let us move into the basic details of UV spectroscopy, that is UV spectrum photometer. So UV spectroscopy works based on a principle. The working principle of UV spectroscopy is absorption of UV light by molecules produces electronic transition between the orbitals. So here the absorption of UV light related to the concentration of the substance. So this is the working principle of UV spectroscopy. So in any UV spectrometer, so we have four important elements. The four important elements of UV spectrometer is UV light source, monochromator, sample holder, display unit. Quite naturally nowadays display unit as a computer and a suitable processing unit. So UV light source, the name itself you are able to understand. It is used to produce a UV light, because UV light is the important thing in UV spectrometer. When UV light falls on the sample, it will be absorbed. So UV source, normally deuterium lamp is used as a UV source. Normally around 200 to 400 nanometer, that is the wavelength range for UV rays. So that this light source is a suitable one. So the job of the light source is to produce UV light. Then that produced UV light has several wavelengths. So we need a selective wavelength. So for that we have another component that is called monochromator. So monochromatic wavelength is single wavelength, right? So monochromator is a device which is used to select the appropriate wavelength. So it allows only one wavelength at a time. So somewhat like a filter. So monochromator is another important element of UV spectrometer. Then after that we have a sample holder. Sample, liquid sample, that is present inside the tube. Sample holder is like a tube. So the sample is placed inside the liquid, inside the sample holder. Then another important element is display unit. So nowadays display unit has a computer with a proper software, so that we can take the soft copy of the output UV spectrum. Already I have told you UV spectrum is the plot between absorptions versus wavelength. So sometimes we record transmittance versus wavelength also. Most of the researchers, they used to record absorptions versus wavelength. That is the plot of UV, because maximum wavelength of absorption, that is important parameter which is identified from the UV spectrum. So UV light source which is used to produce UV light, that produced UV light is given to the monochromator. Then monochromator selects the particular wavelength, then it allows to fall on the sample. It is allowed to fall on the sample. Then UV light will be absorbed by the sample. Then the absorptions will be recorded. The spectrum will be recorded in the display unit, which has a computer and proper software processing unit. So this is the simple idea behind the working of UV spectroscopy. So generally UV spectroscopy is economical instrument. So it is available everywhere. Moreover, it is used to calculate band gap of the material. It provides optical properties of the materials. So particularly absorptions that can be studied by UV spectrum. So this is about a simple introduction over UV spectroscopy. The wavelength of UV rays around 200 to 400 nanometers. So UV rays which provides information over the concentration of the substance, because absorption is related to concentration of the substance. So most of the researchers, they use UV spectroscopy as an important tool for material characterization process. Thank you. Thank you for watching.